and it's time for the talk. Okay, and it's all about Easter in somewhere or another. I want to thank first Unity Minister Howard Caesar, who Stephen Gladine told me about. You know, they came here from Unity of Houston, and he was the Unity Minister there for many, many years, only retiring in the last few years. And I also want to thank Welsh storyteller Carl Goff and God, who inspired this talk for me today. This is a holy time of year for many of the world's religions, and here are just a few. And I'm going to show a little poster. This I got as a picture to show you from the bookstore. Can you see it okay? And there we go. And you can get one at the bookstore if you'd like. Christian obviously have their holidays this time of year. Sikh, Hindu, Baha'i, Jewish, Passover, Pagan, and Orthodox Church, whose Easter Day is aligned with the Julian calendar versus the Gregorian calendar like ours. And Earth Day is not necessarily considered a holy day, but is considered sacred to many, and it's becoming more and more of a holy day to many around the world. And I'd like to, I don't have my finger to show you. You're going to have to use my own. Is that going to be okay? There we go. This is a tradition of the Germans to make Easter trees. And I was fascinated by that when I lived there. I'd never seen anything like it. And look how beautiful. An interesting bit of trivia, historical trivia, is that during the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, Constantine, the Emperor Constantine, he ruled that Easter must fall on a Sunday. Not only that, let me put this down so I can make less noise, that it would be the first Sunday after the full moon following the spring equinox. And it would fall between March 22nd and April 25th. So here we are, 1,694 years later on Easter Sunday. Many people around the world celebrate Easter, acknowledge Easter, whether they're Christian or another world's religion or none of the above. For, how's that? Much more. For many, Easter confirms the ushering of spring. We have daffodils, images of daffodils and tulips and Easter little baby chicks, chocolate Easter eggs, and cute Easter bunnies, which have their roots in pagan mythology. And all these things pop up everywhere. But before I get ahead of myself, I want to remind us of the metaphysical unity of way of understanding Easter, which you can find in the Revealing Word. This is my copy here. You can see it's been around a bit. Easter represents the awakening and rising to spiritual consciousness of the I Am, which has been dead in trespasses and errors and buried in the tomb of materiality. And that's from Charles Fillmore. He talks about trespasses and errors. I think of mistaken thoughts, words, and deeds. Just mistaken means we can change them. So that's pretty nice. Last week, we talked about how Jesus came into Jerusalem, and he was met with his by superstar fandom. He came in with his disciples, and they were these people were so, they put down their cloaks and their palm fronds and to keep the dust down, but also to honor their great teacher. And why was he in Jerusalem? He was there to celebrate Jewish Passover. It was the commemoration, which is the commemoration of the liberation by God of slavery in ancient Egypt. And God freed them from this slavery. And they're also celebrating the freedom as a nation under the leadership of Moses. So that's what's happening. And some say Jesus knew what lay before him. He was arrested after the Passover supper, which you see there. He was accused of claiming to be the king of the Jews, a treasonous challenge to the Roman authorities. But we know that he is the kingdom was the kingdom of God. Jesus, the man, was crucified on what is now called Good Friday. But before he died, he told his disciples that he would rise again. And the metaphysical points to make here are that the 3 days in the tomb represent the 3 movements of the mind. Non-resistance, taking on the truth as it is in divine mind, and assimilation and fulfillment of the divine will. So those 3 things. You want me to say them again? Non-resistance, taking on the truth as it is in the divine mind, and assimilation and fulfillment of the divine will. Jesus did what he said he would do, and against all seeming possibility, including the large heavy stone of his tomb and the 12 Roman guards that you see here at his feet, he overcame them all. The tomb represents an elevated, peaceful state of consciousness where the word of truth quietly spread from point to point to point, preparing him for the supreme test of overcoming the appearance of death. That's also in the revealing word. Jesus rose, resurrected by the power of God, and by the power of God within him. An added dimension of power is manifested here. The power is infused in his intention, in his whys, his for whos, and his for whats, to the glory of God and to the credit of God in this case. And think of a time in your life when you did something that was for a higher purpose, a selfless act, and it felt different, and you knew it was different. It was infused with that added dimension of power. Even if you felt a subtle difference, it was there. And the more you pay attention to it and notice it, the more you'll feel it. Seeing, witnessing, knowing, and believing the intention of pure love empowers. Jesus said, "He that believeth in me, shall he live. Because I live, you shall live also." He taught that we share the understanding of resurrection. He that believes in the works that I do, he shall do also. The idea of resurrection is something that we all get to incorporate in our lives. Because as things happen in life, right? We turn to God, the divine, to draw upon the infinite power that moves mountains, oceans, and skies, births butterflies from caterpillars. Jesus, our way shower, brings us from the winter of life into our spring. And here we are, spring. It's not about the age of us, it's about where we are spiritually. Brings us from the winter of life into the spring. Like bears emerging from dark caves, bears emerging from dark caves into bright light, hungry for learning, hungry to learn more. Martin Luther wrote this: "God has written the resurrection, not in books alone, but in every leaf of spring." Isn't that beautiful? Martin Luther. Yes, like spring, God is alive and pushes us out into the world, out into the light, and we hold that our world in that light. And I do love all the flowering plants and the new leaves on the trees. I love them very much. And I'm learning to maybe react to them a little less. So here we go. I have a story. Long ago, at the end of probably the glacial era, there was a great northern goddess named Ostara. There she is. She's sleeping the forever winter. And you see I don't know if you can see it on the left, but basically what's happening is Ostara is also known as Esther and also known as Easter, coincidentally. So she's sleeping this forever winter, and there are winter hares holding vigil, and while she slept. And her guardian rabbits, these hares, they began a dance of power and duty to end the winter. And Ostara awoke and turned her face to the earth. Wherever she looked upon and moved upon the earth, she changed the muted palette of winter into the vibrant colors of spring. And that's her. You can see the winter behind her and the spring in front of her, and one of her rabbits there keeping her company. One year, Ostara was late in the awakening, and the earth had been in cold winter way too long. Snow and ice refused to melt, and all life hung, suffering in a never-ending winter. Ostara rated herself to end this winter, and she began her walk. She came across a sparrow hen lying half dead on the ice, and she delicately lifted the bird up in her hands, the sparrow hen in her hands, and she blew into this terrified sparrow, whose only sign of life were her terrified eyes. She blew onto the bird the great warmth that she had and new life. She blew away the shadow of death, and she smiled as she and the sparrow shared a special bond. The sparrow breathed in both the life and the power of Ostara, and shared some of that power in her bird song. The sparrow's song stirred the warm breezes of the south and brought the flocks to roost, while Ostara revived the land into spring. And so it went for many centuries, until one spring they came upon the great jack hare, not weak or timid, but strong and fearless, afraid of neither fox nor falcon. He was tall and proud and confident in his magnificence, but his heart fluttered when he spotted Sparrow on Ostara's shoulders. He leapt into dance, twirled in the air, crossed the ground, his eyes the whole time never leaving Sparrow. And Sparrow's head is bobbing and swinging and following every move that rabbit makes. Eventually, Sparrow flew to the ground and next to Jack Hare. Ostara looked down and she recognized her love. She bent down and kissed the bird, and feathers flew in a puff of wind. Where once stood Sparrow, now sat great, beautiful rabbit. Next year, spring was late. Ostara was sad and lonely. She missed Sparrow, but she began her wandering to bring spring to life. She came upon great gatherings of hares. They were dancing, circles within circles of dancing rabbits. When the hares saw Ostara, they opened the circles to envelop her. Each rabbit bowed its head as she walked by. In the center, Ostara saw Jack Hare and Beautiful Rabbit. Beaming with pride, she was surprised to see them there, but there they were, beaming with pride. Next to them was a nest filled with a half-dozen hair-sized eggs. One egg trembled, rolled, and cracked. Fractured shell fell apart to reveal a perfectly white bunny. The bunny stumbled out of the nest and half leapt into Ostara's extended hand, snuggling her. The happy Ostara and the young white bunny rabbit, they led them all into a lively dance of liberation and rebirth. And spring sprang in all of nature, plants, animals, and running brooks. Today, Ostara celebrations take place all around the world and every year to mark the returning of the light of the spring equinox. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, "Look, everything is new. All the old has passed away." It's Easter. Spring has sprung. In the 13th century, the egg was adapted by the Christians as a symbol of rebirth and the emergence of Jesus from the tomb, and was colored and painted red to represent his blood. And then in the 16th century, parents were told their children, if you're good, then the Osterhaus will come and lay eggs, colorful eggs for you. So they were good, and they built nests and baskets and put them around the house to entice the rabbit. And then in the 16th century, enterprising chocolatiers from the European community began making egg-shaped chocolates to put in those baskets. Easter is a celebration of spring, emerging from winter, the returning of the light. Easter, celebration of resurrection, of the returning to the light. Thanks to Reverend Howard Caesar, who has a nice Easter talk on YouTube from 2012, I got this wonderful quote from W.P. Lemon. Easter is not a passport to another world. It is a quality of perception for this one. Shall I read that again? Okay. Easter is not a passport to another world. It is a quality of perception for this one. The Easter message is one of personal resurrection, of making a comeback. All right. Comebacks from grueling or inconvenient, harsh or catastrophic, to the then move beyond circumstances, into overcoming our hardships, from the heartbreak of a broken relationship which would one day lead to the best choice ever. From losing or not getting the job that you were sure was your last hope, to finding and getting the best one. We don't always see solutions right away, but we can believe they're there, that they will reveal themselves. And I have a short story. Some of you know this. Ken and I lived and worked in different cities and states for 3 years during the week. And he would come home to Tucson from Albuquerque, either on Southwest Airlines or driving. And we did this for 3 years, and then we moved to New Mexico, and but we were in Albuquerque, and I was having a hard time finding an appropriate office to work in. So we happened to be driving through Las Cruces, and it was beautiful. It was Memorial Day weekend, the trees were green, and there was this line of green trees all. It was the Rio Grande that we didn't know. We're on our way to Juarez for a wedding, and I said, you know, this is really nice here. I think I can get an office here. And so he ended up getting an interview, which thank God he didn't get that job, but he did get one eventually, obviously. And but we found this house while we were here that weekend. There was a lot of God things that led up to even seeing the house. And I said, I'm buying this house. I'm just going to buy this house. Even if we just come down for the weekend, I just know it's going to work out. I just know it. I just know it's going to work. I couldn't explain it to him, but I knew it. But you know what? He had faith in that knowing. And so we moved from setback to comeback. And we believe that the answers will be, and we have faith that things will work. Now, comebacks begin with change. Change, as Tony Robbins says, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. We do things differently. We seek new information and knowledge for a changing of mind, and we seek a new attitude for a change of heart. We recognize that dip into the familiar, impeding emotion in order to change it. We recognize that dip into that familiar emotion, which isn't so good for us. But we recognize it so we can change it. What's the best that can happen? We're open to the great big idea. And what's that? To incorporate spiritual intention. Jesus said, you are the light of the world. We get to shine that light. We get to be an open conduit for that light and walk in that light as we move through our lives. And I'd like you to picture this light or something very similar as we move into our meditation today. Thank you. So get comfortable and know that you're surrounded by this light. You know, when you're taking a shower in the morning or night, whenever you take your shower and that water comes down, it's not a fleeting feeling, is it? You feel that water. It feels good, that nice warm water. You feel it. This is like the Christ light coming down upon us. You can feel it, and as it permeates into your body. Now feel it coming down over you. All the way down, all the way to your feet. You're feeling it from your tips of your toes to the top of your head. You're walking along your path. You're still feeling this light as it accompanies you as you're walking down your path, and you look down on your path and you see, what kind of path am I walking on? What is my path like? Is my path rocky and gravelly? Is it grassy? Is it knee-length weeds? Is it smooth and hard and easy to walk on? I can continue down my path until I come to a bench and I sit down. This beautiful light is warming and loving me and healing me everywhere, everywhere, from the tips of my toes to the top of my head. I feel this loving, healing energy. It's real. I just feel it soaking in, entering into every cell of my body. My feet are relaxing, and as they relax, they feel more of the energy moving up my legs and into my hips, round into my lower abdomen, up my spine, my upper abdomen, up my arms, into my shoulders, into my chest, where I am feeling this love and compassion growing and growing. And growing. It's so healing, it's so loving. I feel it into my shoulders and around in my neck, my face, the top of my head, my scalp, around the back of my head. Oh, it's everywhere. And I'm sharing it even with the people I'm sitting next to and the ones that are sitting next to them, until this entire room is filled with this healing, loving energy. This healing, loving energy that we now share. We share it with this whole world, bringing it all around the globe so that every need is met, every hurt is touched and loved. So the confidence grows, and the leaves grow, and everything is happy, healthy, and complete. Just like me, healthy, whole, and complete. I know that my loved ones are part of those that were touched today. All those have been touched. We fill them with the healing light of God as we are clear conduits and channels of that Christ light as we walk upon our day, through our days. Feel this loving energy and feel it palpable. Place this loving, healing energy anywhere on your body that needs extra healing today. Whether it be your heart, your tummy, a knee, anywhere, in your mind, place this light. Shine that light. Feel that light enter like a balm, like a loam, into your body, into your heart, mind, and spirit. And know that it's real, and know that it is. And so it is. Amen. And when you're ready, come back. Feel your hands and feet. Wiggle a little bit. And get ready for Barry to play some music.